My father's work worldwide presents What Does the Bible Say About the Christmas Tree? And why? Why does it say it? Over in the Old Testament, Jeremiah 10, verse 2, Jeremiah, an Old Testament prophet of God, says, Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. The heathen worshipped the sun and moon and stars and all such things, the zodiac. They worshiped them. Moses was saying God's people must not do that, never, throughout all their generations. 4, verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cuts the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands, he's talking about the heathen here, idol worshippers. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cuts a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. I'm sure I don't have to tell you what's being described here. They, speaking of the trees, are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be borne, that is, carried, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither is it in them to do good. So we see there's no evil in the tree itself, but it's what we do with it. Do we mix our worship of the true God with heathen worship of their false gods? But that's the rub, isn't it? That's the point. Just before the children of Israel were to go into the promised land, but Moses was not going to be allowed to go because he had disobeyed God in the incident of the rock and the water. Moses was warning the people how to act when they reached the promised land. Deuteronomy, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. Fourth book of the Old Testament. Chapter 4, chapter 12, chapter 12 of Deuteronomy. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land which the Lord God of your fathers gives you to possess it, all the days that you live upon the earth. So it's not just an Old Testament thing. All the days that you live upon the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which you shall possess serve their gods, the false gods, upon the high mountains, upon the hills, and under every green tree. And you shall overthrow their altars. Not just turn them over. You got to make them past ever being used again. Overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire. And you shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names of all of them, out of that place. You shall not do so unto the Lord your God, though. Take heed to yourself, Moses says, that you be not snared by following them after that they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Don't worship the heathen gods in God's name. Never. Don't worship our God in the way they worship their false gods. Don't mix our God with their false gods. Still in Deuteronomy, this time chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 31. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, for every abomination to the Lord, which he hates, have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burned in the fire to their gods. We just call it abortion today. And we don't kill them because of some false god that we worship, certainly not to the true God. We just do it to make more room for ourselves, to control the population. We murder God's children. Moses was warning them not to serve the gods of the pagans the way the people they were about to replace. God was warning, God was removing the idol worshippers and giving his people the chance to worship him instead of gods of stone and wood and gold and whatever they felt like worshiping, the false gods. In the book of the Kings is an evaluation of the kings of Israel in the Promised Land. They are evaluated by how they dealt with those false gods, how well they removed the worship of false gods. Some of the kings sort of removed the pagan worship out of their country, and a few, very few, totally removed the pagan worship from their towns and countries that God gave them. How do we remove worship of false gods from our life today? We're not kings, so we can't remove it from our country, but we can remove it from our life. And we're expected to do so. Most people today know that Christmas is actually pagan worship and not Christ's birthday. The church is mixed pagan worship with Christian worship. And there we go. There we go. The children of Israel, our forefathers, were already headed down the path of the pagans, which God removed because of pagan worship and sacrificing their children to false gods. When did we decide to celebrate December 25th? Anyway, nobody celebrated December 25th until 336 years after Christ. 336 years after Christ. If you ever watched the very popular comedy, The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon, who proudly proclaimed he didn't believe in God, also proudly proclaimed Christmas was a pagan festival. So it's no surprise to anyone. Not that I would use a TV show to back me up on this. I use the Bible. And we already know. We already know. And that was just a comedy show. So means nothing to me really. However, we still teach our children to love Santa, S-A-T-A, S-A-N-T-A, because he brings them presents. What child is not going to love Santa? For that, yeah. Have you ever noticed that S-A-T-A, S-A-N-T-A and S-A-T-A-N are the same word, except the T and N has been switched around. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. But I do think Satan is very clever, and we're not so clever. Religion mixed Christianity with a pagan worship, exactly what God told Moses to warn them not to do. Moses warned the people, our forefathers, not to worship God the way the pagans worship their gods. But now we do. Even in the days of the week, Frigg's Day, Friday. Yeah, Friday is Frigg's Day. Now, I believe Frigg was Thor's wife. Thursday is Thor's Day. This is what these are the pagan gods our days of the week came from. Saturday, Saturday, Sunday, the worship of the sun. Have you ever wondered why some churches go out and in their, sunrise services? They look up at the sun and they worship Christ. Oh, they're looking up at the sun and praying to Christ and worshiping Christ. Are they actually looking up there to see if maybe Christ is returning? No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, we have the names of the pagan gods on our tongue all the time. And that's not to mention even the names of the months. The zodiac signs, Thor, and all these different pagan gods. But people who keep Christmas will say, yeah, but we don't worship that tree. Nor do we believe Christ was born on December 25th. So why do we celebrate it? Now, true, the Bible doesn't actually tell us when Jesus was born. Maybe because God didn't want us to worship his birthday. He was human. He was human, at that time. God, yes, but human flesh. Now, the Bible does strongly hint it was not in the winter. Christ was not born in the winter, so why are we keeping December 25th? December 25th. Luke chapter 2, Matthew, Mark, Luke, third book of the New Testament. Luke 2 and verse 8, now this is speaking of the time Jesus was born, and it's saying, and there were in that same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. This is a great hint that gives us no way to believe Christ was born in the winter, because they were out there all night watching their sheep and taking care of their sheep all night long. It would not be in the wintertime. So we have to admit, and I think we all know, except maybe our children, that Jesus was not born on December 25th. Why are we celebrating it? Christmas. Christ Mass. Mass of Christ as Jesus' birthday. Jesus never kept a Mass in his life. He never entered a Mass service in his life. And we don't either, except for Catholics. They do, of course. So why do we mix Christ with Mass? At least we can say Xmas. That's what I call it. So not to disobey what God told Moses and he passed on to our forefathers. Christmas, Christ Mass, is mixing Christ with Mass. The Roman religion, who still worship the saints to this very day. Saints were never to be worshipped. Never. They were human. And Christ's saints today are also human. So, Xmas is almost here. What will it be this year? Xmas or Christmas? Christ Mass. Mixing Christmas, Christian worship with Roman worship. You know what God said. You know what Moses said that God said. But now it's all your decision. Not mine. I've already made the decision. It's Xmas to me. But it's your decision for you and for yours. All my videos are on rumble.com/My Father's Work Worldwide. Yeah, I hooked it up good, as the banner up there says. So they're all on rumble.com/My Father's Work Worldwide. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you'll be notified when I put on another video. Please share. Please share, please, so others can learn too before it's too late. Oh, and be sure to like. It helps my channel, helps me to get it around to more people. And it's got to go worldwide. It's got to go worldwide because we care about the whole world, not just us and our own. Until next time, goodbye.